Welcome to Whole Back Rack Podcast. My name is Jessica Hare. I operate Hare Hollow Farm, and we breed boas, balls, and select colubrids.
Hi, I'm Jana King. I operate ASM Royal Tails, and I breed high-end ball pythons.
We want to share our journey navigating herpetological and are dedicated to promoting biohazard safety for all species. And we would love you to answer the question, what's in your whole back rack? Episode 43. Is Jana dead?
Yes, Jana is dead.
Okay, I have a question. Do you think teabagging someone in a video game counts as sexual assault?
Did you say tea bagging?
Can you guess what that means? If you don't know.
I don't know, and I cannot guess.
I want you to Google it later. Not now. Put that phone down. Later. This is not safe for work. And that was said after I mentioned teabagging. I've been doing, not to already go off topic about 15 seconds after starting the podcast, but because I'm getting ready to think about consolidating my thoughts on social media platforms for reptile keepers. So instead of thinking about it from the reptile keeper perspective, I've been thinking more about it from the platform's perspective. TikTok was Musical.ly. It is sort of designed to be dancing and lip syncing to music. So can a reptile platform do as good on a platform that was designed for something different than it can on other ones? So I've been thinking about it from that way. So I've been watching a lot of, video game critique videos on YouTube talking about the meta of video game culture. There's a really far aside. Nothing. Jana's got nothing. You Google teabagging later, and we'll move on.
No, I totally Googled it now, and I'm dying inside. While you were giving your very eloquent speech, I was reeling on Google.
All right, well, now you know.
Now I know, and I can't ever unknow.
Do you think Shane Kelley still wants to sponsor this podcast?
He does. Unless
we
something's
talked
changed
about teabagging
over the last week.
Or the last
Drop us a line.
minute or two. We talked very briefly about shrapnel by IM message, I don't know, a week ago or something with Shane. And then I was like, maybe we need to do an analysis real quick for his sponsor spot. Because he bought a shrapnel spot-nose head clown from CD Xotics, and it's very cool looking. But what do you think about shrapnel, Jana?
Or on the spot or anything. Jeez.
Jeez Louise.
Is it known to be allelic with anything?
It looks like a granite type to me.
That's what it looks like to me, too. So like a grim. Are those all allelic?
Nobody knows.
Oh, okay.
I think that's the thrust of, no pun intended, my conversation, is that all of them are cool, but all of them are at risk of being the exact same. So which one do you invest in if they're all cool, but very similar?
It's hard to know, yeah, because I really, really like granite genes. And I'd love to have some in my collection. And I have that little dinker girl. Remember that I picked up locally? Mm-hmm. Well, you picked her up for me. I have her, but yeah, it's hard to know. So the big ones right now are shrapnel, nanny.
There are dinosaurs in my house. Sorry.
There's dinosaurs in your house?
It's fucking a thundering herd of children. Even though I only have one, rattling my entire room. So I'm sure the microphone picked it up. Sorry, keep going.
Oh, I hear nothing.
Okay,
so.
Good. Well, my gain is always fucked either way too high or way too low based on last week's episode. So this week I turned it up, so I'm sure you will hear my blood pulsing in my forehead as I have a conniption about something. No, the ones I think are popular: Grim, Nanny, and Shrapnel.
That's what I said.
Right, I was agreeing.
Oh, okay.
You didn't finish your thought. I interrupted you with dinosaurs.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I'm sorry, you have this space, the empty wall behind you.
This is my ghost.
So I saw this Triceratops bust through and was there was a whole thing happening over there, and I was just
Jana's
really
lost
confused.
her mind because she did a show yesterday. She's suffering right now, everybody.
I am an old lady. I'm gonna be a really old lady in like 2 weeks.
What do you think shrapnel, back to our sponsor spot, which we've done a poor job of staying on topic, looks like in G-stripe?
Oh my gosh, I just had a little mind orgasm.
Jana approves.
Can I say that on the show? Is that allowed?
Yes, I
I
don't
mean,
think
I
there's
guess you say
anything not allowed.
penises, so
What?
I didn't know if there was like podcast law.
The only thing we can't do is slander someone, technically, which... I put the
I
link
found
to his
it.
Instagram.
I found it. Never mind. Dumb question. I found it. It was really easy to find. That's really sexy.
Yeah. And a spot nose.
my
So spot
gosh.
nose is like
Shane
opening things
Kelley,
up.
you marry me because your collection is really nice.
Yeah, I don't
He's
know
totally
what it'll do
married
in
and
G-stripe.
not
I
actually
think it'll
married.
make the stripe narrow and not necessarily significantly different. Maybe narrow and darker, but
I'm
not,
curious.
not bigger.
So you said G-stripe, but I heard G-stripe clown. 'Cause I
Right,
think
that's
it'll
what
be
he's going to do with
interesting.
it.
Right.
Right.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
Or he might breed it to his G-stripe enhancer.
Well, it's a boy. So he has to
it's a
start
boy.
from one direction first. Well,
I mean, two boys don't make eggs. I've been doing it
Wow.
wrong.
I've watched some materials on the internet that might...
You know what's funny?
Are you into impreg now? Is that what you're saying?
Two males cannot make eggs, but two females could get together, have a party, and both make eggs.
Mm-hmm. What episode
Not
was
having visited any other party. What?
that? What episode was that?
What episode?
The Parthenogenesis episode.
That was the Parthenogenesis episode. That joke is about 10 episodes too late.
That's okay. We're all about callbacks at this point.
So I had somebody come up to me at the show who listens, and he has blue beauties that he's going to be breeding. So I'm sorry that I don't remember your name, or he was there helping his girlfriend vend. But if you're listening, shout out to you. And if you message me on my Instagram, tell me who you are. I'll shout out you and your girlfriend's business. But it was nice to meet you in person. Thank you so much for coming up and saying you listened. That was really cool.
Thanks, buddy. This shout out and the discussion of shrapnel, which has petered out pretty poorly, brought to you by
Sorry.
Shane Kelley of Small Town Exotics. Check him out on Instagram, Warp Market, and YouTube.
He might actually email me and be like, I'm just going to sponsor Jessica because you got to get your shit together, girl.
I don't think... I legitimately think no one has their shit together. Like, I was, like, rifling around through the freezer today, and I'm like, I don't know what I have, what to feed, or where I am right now. So I'm just going to pull out literally a random
Or what time it
assortment
is,
of
'cause you
bags.
also had a time change.
And whatever comes out, I will offer that to someone later
Yes.
today.
That sounds great.
Right. So
Good plan.
now, on to the main topic, which isn't very long, because Jana's going to talk about her show experience, which I didn't do, because I experienced not being in a show, which is different.
Oh, did you have feels about missing the show, or were you happy with your feet up? Haha. Just
don't
thinking,
know.
I am not doing that right now.
Right, I don't like doing shows, so I like not doing shows. That seems great. But they're sort of like a logistical nightmare in terms of like, I have a lot of snakes, but I can't sell them until they eat. But I made them not eat for 3 weeks. I wish I could go to a show and have the snakes be on a schedule and know which ones are doing good and try to sell them to people, but I can't do any of that until I dig around in my freezer again and confusedly bring out a random number of rodents.
That are probably not going to get eaten. That's cool.
Yeah. I mean, I tried the adult ball pythons and maybe 8 out of 40 or something.
That's really good odds.
Mm-hmm. They're like, fuck off with that frozen thawed. I'm sure if I'd given live, I would have had a better rate. But they're all like
probably.
very
Like half,
concerned
at
with
least.
what's happening.
Yeah, they're like, this place smells funny, and we can hear you. Can hear you moving around. What are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, I'm so old. I cannot sit in that chair. So you're gonna hang out with me on the couch today, podcast people.
Is it a casting couch?
It must be a casting couch, because
Oh my god, I can't take Chris anywhere. We were trying to buy furniture, and every couch that was like black leather-ish, he's like, is this a casting couch? I'm like, maybe. It depends on who's on it and what they're doing. And then the next one, is this a casting couch? So the whole time.
you should have just leaned over and whispered when you found the couch you wanted and been like, this is the one.
We got to christen it.
Yes. For sure. That's really funny.
I'm sure the deeply religious furniture store owners were very excited to overhear our conversation at every couch. There's an awful lot of crucifixes hanging out, and I'm scared. In furniture stores. I mean.
In furniture stores. Oh my gosh, that's good. That's good stuff.
Moving on. All right. So, I don't know if this is a grinds my gear, because I don't feel like my gears are grinded. They're a little befuddled, right?
Confused my gears.
My topic is aestivation. So I was on the internet, as one maybe want to do, and people were talking on the internet, and I read it. And someone, very cash, was like, ball pythons aestivate. What?
I'm sure they didn't reference any papers.
No, they did not. They were just like,
there was no
ball pythons
citing.
aestivate.
It was just their opinion.
Sure was. Opinions all over the internet. And so at first I was like, fuck this person, they're dumb. And I moved on with my life. Then
They did use a really, really scientific word, so they sounded official.
And then I was like, why did he use that word? Why did he feel entitled to that word? Because we'll tell you what aestivation is, and then we'll decide if ball pythons aestivate. How do you think about that?
I think that's pretty cool.
Aestivation, Jana, is a period of dormancy during the summer and or hot, dry time of a season, and it has a lot of official things that go with it, as like, you're aestivating now. Metabolic rate suppression.
Learn us, teach.
Strategies to retain body moisture or water. Conservation of energy and body fuel reserves by whatever means necessary. Altered nitrogen metabolism, and that means oftentimes they don't pee at all, and they will eliminate nitrogen from their body in different ways. And they do all kinds of biochemical processes that preserve and stabilize the organs, cells, and macromolecules, so that when they decide it's moist enough to exit, they aren't like super debilitated and weak. So they'll upregulate some things and downregulate other things, and certain epigenetic changes will happen because they're like, it's dry AF. I need to make my body persist through this dry spell. And it's from the Latin for summer, which is estus, or heat, which is estus. Aestivation. It's just a period of dormancy when it's hot and dry and an animal cannot function normally.
In simplified layman's terms, could you say it's similar to hibernation?
Yes, it's like the reverse of hibernation or brumation.
I didn't want to say opposite because that implies other things, but I just like.
Yeah, I thought about doing all three in like one episode, like all the 3 states of animals, but then I'm like, that's too much. So we're just talking about aestivation.
Why don't you just tell us? Let's tell us the 3 states, because you're learning us something.
Well, hibernation and brumation, those people fight. They're like, some people think brumation shouldn't even be a word that exists. Brumation was normally like relegated to animals that were in a state of dormancy because they were too cold, but they didn't do anything particularly intense to their body to get ready for that. So like snakes and turtles and whatever. But hibernation was where it is another cold dormancy state, but they did a lot to get ready. So like bears will like pack on.
Right, they have to eat a lot.
Beautiful fat ass. It's so thick and juicy. And then they do a lot of processes to get ready. And they hibernate in a different way, and they come out. That was the distinction. And it's usually like endotherms and ectotherms. But it's sort of a fake distinction, because they're both doing something.
A winter dormancy.
They're both doing a winter dormancy, and they're both up-regulating things biochemically internally and down-regulating other stuff, lowering their metabolism, and they're both doing something. So do we need the distinction? I like the word brumation. I'm going to keep using it. I'm fine having like... Because a snake, if you wake that fucker up in the middle of brumation, he's not like unable to function. If you warm him up, he's awake and he's ready to go. But a bear, if you wake him up in the middle of hibernation, it's just different. There's too much going on in the processes of their hibernation.
So the Latin word is hemes. So would that mean that the opposite of aestivate would be like hemesivate?
For winter?
Yeah.
The Latin for winter is heme?
Hemes. H-I-E-M-S. Cold time of year, though, is bruma. So I guess brumate would come from that.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Anyway, continue.
Okay. So, there's no, like, multiple words for aestivate, though. So, what I'm saying is, a ball python doesn't go through, like, a specific, strong change to its body in the dry season, as far as all of the peer-reviewed literature says. They just don't eat because they're starving, because there's no food. And they stay in the hole. But let's review...
It's hot as hell outside, and hot is bad for reptiles.
Right, but they don't do anything. Like a lungfish will dig down, make a little hole. It'll spit out slobber and slime and make like a mucus coating around itself. And it does all this stuff. It changes how it releases urea from its body. It does all this stuff. There's zero...
Python's the same. It's just... And it's in its same hole. It just isn't doing anything. It's literally
doing the exact same thing it does year-round. It just doesn't...
Inside its body.
Yeah, it just doesn't get to eat because there's no food. So is that aestivation, or is that it's just still being a ball python, it's just starving?
It's still being a ball python.
So is that aestivation? I don't know. Well, maybe. So I Googled on the internet, and then I obviously Google scholared. But here's all the evidence for aestivation in ball pythons. Blog posts, reptile magazines articles for the use of the word aestivation in the context of what ball pythons do during the dry season, and Wikipedia. Wikipedia cites the Nigeria tree ball python paper as its evidence for using burrows as aestivation sites. And if you go read the Nigeria paper, they never even mention aestivation. They're mostly just talking about
ball pythons. They're talking about a different kind of python.
No, we're still talking about ball pythons. They're talking about ball pythons in the trees of Nigeria, like those Nigerian papers that are famous.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But they don't mention aestivation ever in that paper. So the Wikipedia article is using that as a source. It doesn't even mention it. All right, great. Good evidence. There is a paper that says ball pythons go into rodent burrows to aestivate. It's called The Photoreceptors and Visual Pigments in the Retina of a Boid Snake, the Ball Python. And it uses, as citation for ball python aestivation, 2 books, one from 1961 and one from 1987, that are not actually even about ball pythons specifically, are just like Pythons of the World or whatever, from 1961.
Good information there, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's quality.
Current information.
So right now, I'm not seeing any, this is what a ball python does throughout the year. In the dry season, each ball python chooses not to leave any burrows that it happens to be in because it just wants to die. And so it will stay in there and turn into a little baby bear and form a little cocoon, and it just doesn't leave. It's actually aestivating. We have no evidence of that whatsoever.
It's going to come out a lizard.
Like, you could technically be like, anytime any animal is dry, it's aestivating. Or it's summertime, right? Maybe.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So if that's the definition we want to go by, like it's dry, then I'm aestivating right now. I'm aestivating in Oklahoma. It's fucking hot here. My lips are chapped all the time. Ugh. It's
Your body
dry.
is like, where's the water from the air? I
Yeah,
can't get any water from the
I'm gonna be
air.
dead soon. I
Why
should
is the air
estivate.
so dry?
I should form a little like metapod in the fucking, and then cocoon up, and then excrete mucus, and then start to excrete urea from my butthole. I don't know. I don't know. It's like saying a boa that experiences the cooling season on whatever island it's on is brumating. Is it brumating because it's slightly colder? Is a ball python who's doing exactly the same thing he does year round, but just is accidentally being starved because there's not enough rodents? Is that actually aestivation, or is that just a ball python in the dry season? Tell me, Jana.
I believe it's the ball python during the dry season, according to the definition of aestivation.
Yes, I agree.
Ball pythons do not estivate. But there are ball python breeders. Who's that one we've mentioned several times? You've mentioned several times that does not choose to feed his ball pythons in the summer at all.
Ben Russo? Is that who you're talking about?
Ooh,
Ben
you cut out.
Russo?
I think so.
Yeah, he does very seasonal feeding. And that's fine. But I wouldn't say he's estivating. Estivation is like a very specific process. And just like
I'm not saying it's
starving
estivation. I'm
or
just saying
drying
that
is...
there are people with a school of thought that ball pythons shouldn't eat during the summer,
Sure.
during the laying season, that none should eat.
I think largely Vin Russo is correct. I just don't know like to what degree he is correct, or nor that it matters. Like I don't know, does it matter if you feed them some in the summer? No, they seem fine. Should you feed the shit out of them all the time their whole lives? Probably not. But I don't know if his mix of exactly feeding is doesn't even really match what they do in the wild. So I don't. He's just doing what works for him. Now, I did find a very nice paper on the starvation of ball pythons versus rattlesnakes versus rat snakes. And I'll put that in the show notes. Because the ball pythons, so their metabolism was, after 2 weeks, when they like went back to normal time, was lower than when they're actively digesting, of course. But then it still fell off as they starved longer and longer. But ball pythons were the only group that at like day 140 or something had like a metabolism boost, and so actually like almost recovered back to baseline because their body was like, maybe we should go look for food harder. And then
Here's some energy to go hunting.
Yeah.
Hey, look, you're gonna die soon, so maybe you should get off your ass and get a rat.
Like you could see how much weight they were losing. All of them grew because obviously snakes still grow. They don't give a shit. Even if they're starving, they'll still grow because they're like, I might eat soon. But they had these snakes starved for 168 days, which is longer than the dry season in where they live, West Africa.
Okay.
They did not form a cocoon or do any kind of special process that was significantly different than acting like a ball python because they sensed that it was the dry season or whatever. Like there was a famine. So I don't have any evidence for actual estivation, is what I'm getting at. But I do have evidence of how they act when starved, which I thought was really interesting. Dinosaurs are back. There are lots of animals that do estivate. They do very specific things. Lungfish is a great example. Spadefoot toads, snails, even like headwater stream salamanders. Like they must estivate in the middle of the summer because there's no water in the stream anymore. And they need water or they die. A ball python probably still comes out and forages a little bit in the dry season. Then he's like, this is lame, and he goes back, right? Like, he could eat at any time. He's not like forced to go into like a torpor state. Doesn't find anything. So I don't think they estimate, Jana. I think that word is being used to sound cool instead of
To sound educated, in the know.
Right, but that's one of those like to me, when you use that word to mean like starvation in a ball python, you don't actually know what you're talking about. As usual, Wikipedia. And if you want to use it just to mean any time an animal is in the summer is having like a period of dormancy, then every fucking animal in the earth estivates constantly, all the time, including me, because I'm about ready to dry out.
You are dried out.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I visit somewhere that has no humidity or low humidity, my skin literally screams in protest. And I go from drinking like 24 ounces of water a day to like 100 ounces. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, well, monkeys aren't supposed to live in the desert. I don't know if you knew that. Human monkeys.
Human monkeys aren't supposed to live in the desert.
Mm-hmm. It's time for news.
Are you going to this annual conference?
No. I just put this out there because one of our listeners, Kevin Saunders, was doing it. One of our listeners. Wish I could speak English. The West Virginia Herpetological Science Annual Conference meeting, September 9th and 10th and 11th at the Kinova State Forest. Kevin's going to be there. And Dr. Polly, and Kevin's professor.
Oh, cool. It'd be cooler if you were going. But that's okay, I forgive you.
I don't live there anymore. I don't know if you noticed.
Yeah. Isn't that your, like, home slice?
I don't know where my home slice is. Maybe I'm cast adrift. So, thank God, State 48 hit the GHI Mojave puzzle.
It's glorious.
I know.
It's glorious. If you haven't seen it, go look.
Yeah, Joel hit the GHI puzzle like a couple weeks ago now. He must have had another pairing that had a chance at it. 10 out of 10. I would marry that snake, probably.
So, what we really want to know is, are you going to get into puzzle?
I think the answer is inevitably I will get into puzzle. It's just extremely difficult to determine what time that will happen. We had this kind of updates, but we had somebody come and like look at the stuff to be fixed around the house and maybe offer a bid. And so Chris was like trying to tell them everything in the whole house that could ever be fixed. And I'm like, stop. I don't want to bid for something that doesn't matter in the next couple months, right? Who gives a shit?
Prioritize.
So yeah, he's like, what about this door? What if we do this? I'm just like mad, and then I made it embarrassing by being embarrassing in public.
Oh, no.
No, I was like, listen, just stop talking to him for a little bit. And then we went out to like the snake building. This is probably $30,000 worth of work. So don't even think about what else you would dream of happening in the house. Let's do the snake building first so the snakes can get out. Point is, you can't spend money on starting a puzzle project when your snakes are not even in their building, is what I'm saying. Doesn't matter if you like it or not.
Yeah.
You can't go get new ones until the ones you have are
taken care of.
Mm-hmm. Are you getting into puzzle?
I am not getting into puzzle.
Ever in your whole life?
I do not speak for future Jana. Womp, womp, womp.
Yeah, I like puzzle a lot, but puzzle does not play well with Pied.
Why do you have Pied? You need to get rid of your DG Pied stuff, and you need to get into puzzle.
That's a fine idea, but it doesn't make me into puzzle any faster. Like if I sold my DG Pied stuff, which there isn't that much of that, I would buy half of a hemipene of one male puzzle. It's like it doesn't matter, right? And I can't intake anything into quarantine. I also can't feed anything currently. You know,
okay, calm down. So I meant like
I'm
next
not
year.
selling or buying anything until something normal starts happening. Like I actually know what's going on with the collection. I put a picture on here. I thought it looked nice. This is why I don't get rid of Pied. Super Blackhead Ghost Pied, Super Blackhead Pied, and Super Blackhead Mojave Ghost Pied. Produced by SA Balls. It was on Facebook this week.
Yeah, those are pretty sexy.
Yeah,
I like Pied a lot.
I like Pied too. It's fine. It just it poorly combos with a lot of things. Just does better with other things. It's just fine. Yeah, which one's your favorite? There was a lot of debate in the comments, like which one was people's favorites.
It's really hard to choose. I want all three of them. I like them all for different reasons, which is the shittiest answer ever. I'd probably, if I had to pick one...
There's a gun to your head.
There's a gun to my head. I'd probably pick the Super Blackhead Ghost Pied.
Yeah. I probably like that one the best, too.
I really like the Blackhead Pied, and that's what hurts me to not pick it, but the Ghost is really nice, and it's more powerful. It's nice. The Super Blackhead Mojave Ghost Pied is absolutely stunning and beautiful, and I love the coloring, but that's not the coloring I look for in a pied, as gray as it is. I know it's like very appealing. I'm not saying it's awful or anything. I just am saying that I prefer color in my pied.
But you like Mojave pieds normally that have like a
Yes.
yellowy gray
Yeah, for sure.
saddle.
And I like this one. I just saying if I've gun to my head and I had to pick, that's definitely not the one I'd pick.
Uh,
The other two, it was hard for me.
well, this segues into Justin's video. Did you watch his video?
The Black Axanthic one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I watched that one. I've been watching that project a lot. Black Axanthic and Ghost, a match made in heaven. What do you think of it?
So his videos look nice. I'm not disputing that. But every time I go on Work Market and look at the quality of adults or other examples, they look not Black Axanthic sometimes.
Even from his lines?
Yeah. They're like, this is the cousin. I'm like, ew. It looks like a fucking like the worst Joliffe Axanthic ever. But then some of them look really nice. So it's still a problem of selective
Quality.
breeding and picking the right animal and only keeping the best animal. Because some of them look no different than any other poor Axanthic type.
That's
Even as
sad.
babies. Even as babies. And I just don't understand. I think these ones look particularly nice from Justin because he has Blackhead and Leopard and a bunch of stuff in it that'll darken it up and make it look real jazzy. I don't know. Somebody write in and explain to
If
me
you're working
why,
that project,
why
write in,
some of
please.
them look so bad, and some of them look so good, and it's such a strong difference. Like, you know, a really shitty VPI. Like, a lot of VPIs look very similar.
yeah, see, that's the problem I have also with the Axanthic is that there's such crappy ones, and then there's really nice ones, but all of them are being continued to being bred, and I don't. Some of them, like, yeah, I can tell you that that's an Axanthic, but you're not gonna be able to tell when it's an adult.
Yeah. Who was it? It was on MJ's RCR tour. Did you see that? It was almost on the list, and then I was like, I don't know if we have time to talk about it deeply, but he showed a VPI Axanthic super asphalt male. That had a little size to it, though. That shit
How
was
does it
yellow
look?
AF. Yellow. Very yellow.
Yellow.
Very
Oh.
yellow. It was definitely Axanthic, because it didn't look like a normal super asphalt. And it's fine that he had that. It's just, it was nice. Don't tell Will. It was nice. Will, if you're listening. The fact remains that Axanthic, we have no Axanthic that's truly Axanthic. They all leave a small amount of yellow behind. Whether that's, they leave 10%, 5%, 3%, 2%, 1%. It's all on, that last set of percent is based on selective breeding. And this asphalt was very yellow as a, whatever, 800 gram subadult.
Yeah. Who's the guy that just does Axanthic who produced the Stormtrooper?
JD Constriction?
JD Constriction. His are really nice.
I don't know. I'm
Oh, you
assuming
don't
they
agree?
are. But I've seen some of his adult.
That don't look nice.
Right? It's just luck
Bummer.
sometimes. Like maybe he
Yeah.
outcrossed something. Some of his adults are very nice. But since you're posting babies, I'm not saying his snakes aren't nice, by the way. God. But there's like a pretty infamous, I think it was a ballpythons.net forum post where like, I bought this snake and it was supposed to be this. People complaining about Axanthics not looking like the pictures and not living up to their expectations. I can see how the morph is problematic for people. Because what if you made it and it looked pretty good when you took the picture originally, but it was starting to yellow up fast and you didn't take pictures in time to like clarify what the exact disposition of the animal was at month 3 and 4 and 5.
Right.
The genetics are still the same, and it's obviously not as nice of a quality. How do you avoid a lot of the misconception about what it's going to end up looking like? Especially when you put Desert Ghost in it. Just kidding.
That was a thumbs down for those of you who can't see Jessica.
So Will showed a lot of desert ghosts because he has a lot of desert ghosts, and he showed a desert ghost Axanthic, something pastel or something. That thing was yellower than my pee.
In Oklahoma.
Where I'm dehydrated and dying. It was still really nice. It was still really nice. Very nice. It's a desert ghost. Of course it looks nice. I don't know what to do, Jana. I don't know how to convince people to stop what they're doing and actually like selectively breed
You can't because
the Axanthics first to make them very low yellow and then cross it into desert ghost.
People are too impatient to do that
Right.
properly.
And maybe VPI isn't the line to do it with. Maybe it should be TSK or MJ or Black Axanthic. I mean, I have a VPI and she's pretty good. She's pretty good. I haven't posted a picture of her in a while. For an adult VPI. But I don't know if she's the best. I don't know. How do I know, Jana? Is she good enough? Like, I don't have like a bunch of them to compare like I do with like a litter of boas where you're like, oh, okay. Just have one. So like I'm forced to use the only one I have.
Right.
Yeah, we're all complaining. All right, Jana, tell me about your show. How rich is your child? Is she a millionaire?
Not a millionaire. It was a one-day show. It's the smaller show, and we did about 1,800, and I sold 9 snakes, and 400 of that 1,800 what my kid made.
So that is less than the April show? May show.
Less than the May show.
Plus
where I did
kid
12 snakes. Yeah, plus kid stuff. I did 12 snakes and 2,400 at the
Did
May
Holly
show.
do good?
She did not. And this is the very first time she's ever not done well.
Oh. Market's sounding sad.
Yeah.
Especially since
general
Holly's
market.
selling stuff that's like $10 to $40 or whatever.
Yeah. So normally she did 4,000 at the May show and only did 400.
Whoa!
Yeah, and the April
She bring snakes?
Pack North. She did. She brought.
Oh, did she sell any snakes?
They sold 2 snakes. Yes.
Sorry, Holly.
It was just a really slow show. So.
Did you get Little Caesar's pizza?
Mhm.
It was worth it.
Totally worth it. I mean, it was definitely worth my time. I'm not sure it was worth Holly's.
I don't know the answer to life's questions. I'm sorry it was a less busy show. I guess it was to be expected. Like if you were going to downgrade the spring show for economic activity a little bit. I'm surprised Holly's was such a precipitous drop though.
Yeah, I wonder if because she was spending a great deal of time, because it was her boy's first time trying to sell the corn snakes. And so I wonder if her business suffered because she wasn't chatting people up and being her normal outgoing self. She was over talking to people about snakes.
Maybe. I'm not sure.
I don't know. I'd be curious.
I thought most of her stuff just sort of sold because people were browsing and they're like,
I thought it sold itself.
Earrings. So like,
Yes.
I see earring, I understand earring, I put it on. You know, so like she wouldn't need to.
But she is very outgoing and very chatty, and I don't know. I think some of that might make people buy from her more,
Sure.
or stand there and keep looking until they
Or
find
like
something
she's
they
a hot
like.
mom.
She's a hot mom that I'd like to be friends with, so I'm going to stand here and chat with her and buy her products. So I'm just curious if that had any effect, which obviously there's no way to know the answer to that. I'm curious because she always does really, really, really well.
Did she tell you if that was like the worst reptile show she's ever done?
I think that's the worst show she's ever done.
Whoa.
Craft fair, dude. Farmer's market. She makes way more than that even at her local farmer's market.
Still.
Weekly.
Yeah. Okay. It's got to be still worth it for her to have done it, right?
No, because they had to drive down 4 hours each way, which is a tank of gas, and they did a hotel room.
Oh, they did a hotel too? Or instead of driving it all in one day?
Yeah, and she brought her kids with her because they were doing snakes, and so I'm sure that they had to eat out to at least 2 meals. But she definitely spent more on the trip than she did on what she made at the show.
Sorry, Holly. Everybody go to Mesa Terra and buy a set of earrings. She has
She
an
has lots
Etsy
of cool
store.
stuff, or you can order a custom with your own animals, snake or lizard shed. The building was hot AF, and I mean, it had to have been at least 90 degrees in there, and then the
Oh
humidity
no.
was 100%. So like I sweated through like two shirts and was like literally my hair was dripping sweat like the whole
Gross.
day. It was so awful. And then we were right next to this train, this like commuter train that ran like every 15 minutes and it would shake the whole building. It was a brutal day.
So would you redo that one? Like the summer Portland show again? Or maybe try it again next summer? Because it's
It,
going to be hot no matter what if they're doing the same building every time.
so this isn't the building that's been in the past. They were in a new building.
Oh. So you're
It
going
was
to keep this
awful. And
building?
there was no bathrooms.
What?
We had to go across the street to the hotel
What?
lobby. Yeah, there was no bathrooms in this building.
Yeah, fuck that. Hello. Show promoters, women can't keep it in their bladder for even 10 minutes sometimes. Oh, I
And
would pee, but I should
went
check. I should
I
just.
went to the bathroom before the show started and did not go to the bathroom until it ended.
You're. She's like 5 inches away
Post
from a urinary tract
post
infection.
3 kids. So
She was wearing Depends, everybody. She was able to pee in her pants. That's
you just gotta
okay.
let it out real slow.
Yeah, you don't want to
Totally
gusher.
fine.
Oh God. Yeah, that would be a literal deal breaker for me, and I wouldn't bend if it was at that location again.
Yeah. So
It's just like normal hygiene. Like there's a certain amount of like hand sanitizer that it becomes like a sticky mess. So you have to go wash your hands every once in a
for
while.
reals, yeah, no. So I don't know. I definitely gonna have to think long and hard about if I'm gonna do it. I don't know if I'll do
I don't
their
even.
January show
I have a real
either.
question. Is that legal? Was
I
there
have no idea.
like to
It
have
felt
that
like it
many people
wasn't.
in the space trapped ish, and they could only go outside of the building to go to the bathroom?
It didn't feel legal.
Yeah, right in all lawyers.
I'm betting that it rent that space then because there was a big convention room inside the hotel
Oh,
and
that would have been
it had
nice.
it would have been really nice. It looked really nice and I was like, why are we doing it here? Where there's bathrooms.
Daytona was this week, right?
Yep. Right now, today. It's the
Oh.
last day.
Yeah, it's Sunday. Everybody, August 21st. You jealous you weren't at Daytona?
I'm a little jealous that there's people posting from like the beach and their hotel rooms with beach views and I love Florida in general. I lived there for a little while and it's like totally felt like home when I lived there and so yeah, it'd be nice to go back. But do I care that I wasn't at Daytona? Probably not. Oh, I will not be at Arlington.
Your show is that time?
The Spokane show got
Right.
switched to the same weekend, so I already had purchased 4 tables to go to that. So
Okay.
bummer.
Yeah. Still want to go. My like mental space is very weird though.
You probably shouldn't try to go while you're still trying to like
Right. If the snake
figure out
house
basic human life.
isn't ready, and they can't be like protected from heat and cold, then I'm not going anywhere ever, ever. That's just my point. But that's like, a month and a half from now. So, like right now, because the snakes are in the garage, I have to like open the door during the day to let the air from the house cool the garage down, and then close it at night at just the right time to like conserve the heat in the garage, but not let them cool down too much.
Huh?
They're not positioned in such a way they could all have their heat things plugged in right now.
Right.
So I can't go anywhere anyway, right? Because I have to
Right. Babysit
babysit this
temperatures.
fucking door. I would just like turn in like the oil heater and like plug it in and blast it to like 82. Like keep the thermostat to make it. I don't have that here. What was the composition of the animals that you sold?
A lot of bananas and a lot of stuff under 200.
Anything over 200?
We sold one $400 snake. That was a banana combo.
Male, I'm assuming?
Male banana disco enchi het clown. It's really sexy.
Did they want to breed it?
Maybe in the future.
Okay, but they
But
were
it was
mostly buying it as like a nice looking pet.
correct.
Okay.
The dad wants to eventually breed, but his daughter wanted a pet snake, so
Okay, nothing. So mostly banana and cheap. Still. Yes. Did you bring anything expensive that you were just trying to see if they would sell?
I brought my super gravel male.
Oh, the baby?
Mhm.
Just to see if he would sell?
Mhm.
Even though you kind of want to keep him?
I haven't decided if I'm parting with that whole project. I'm parting with the whole project that I have the super gravel female that I can use in other projects like the clown pied or the G-stripe clown.
Right. The female is the more long-term whole back.
Correct.
But nobody wanted to buy him. Was anybody interested?
A couple of people.
Did you bring him because Lindsay sold that highway?
Yeah. I brought him because I thought, maybe another breeder would buy him or somebody looking for like a high-end pet because he's really pretty. But he was in shed, so he wasn't even like shining or anything. So there was a couple of people who were looking at him for their breeding projects, and a lot of people, if that was a girl, I'd be buying that right now. So I was like, yeah, I kept the girl. I mean, if he had sold, I wouldn't have been sad about it. But if he doesn't sell, I'm also not going to be sad about it.
Did you sell
it's
any
like
female hets that were priced the way female hets are supposed to be priced?
Nope. I did sell some female hets that were underpriced and that were to like potential, like people who are trying to be breeders.
Did you meet anybody new besides Blue Beauty guy and gal? Does he have a gal?
He has a gal. She's the one that was there selling, I think, geckos or lizards of some kind. And we were chatting it up about Blue Beauties, and I was like, oh, because Emily from Snake Discovery just did another Blue Beauty video of another clutch, and so she features them on her channel quite often. So we had a really good discussion about how she should be reiterating, or not necessarily her responsibility, but maybe parents should be stepping into. But she's created this energy and craze in the reptile industry because she's getting into the homes of children who are educating their parents about reptiles, who are bringing them to reptile shows, and they're all now wanting snakes and seeing how cool snakes can be, which is fantastic, or lizards or geckos. I mean, she features all reptiles, and she's a reptile educator. But they fall in love with these species. Like I had one girl who was really upset because she couldn't find a bull snake at the show, and that's really what she wanted. And so I had a good talk about with her mom about how like that's not really like an entry. The girl was like 7 or 8 and has never owned a snake. And I think this was her first time holding snakes, and she wants a bull snake as her first snake. And I'm like, don't discourage that necessarily, because you shouldn't get snakes you don't want just to have experience. But if she does want something that's harder, you need to be looking around for someone locally who maybe breeds them or who has them as pets, and she needs to get some hands-on experience with snakes before.
Why do you think bull snakes are hard? Just because they're big?
They're bigger, and they you need to be able to read body language because they are more apt to bite you. If they're cranky and you don't understand any kind of snake body language, if you're 8 and you're just like playing with your snake and it's a little nippy because you're not paying attention, that can really put someone off of reptiles.
Don't you think ball python is the same in terms of body language reading needed to be done? I don't think any 8-year-old should have a pet snake without strong adult supervision. But
you're not wrong.
I don't know. Bull snakes
anyway, so
are
we're talking
big
about
AF, so like that's enough reason.
Well, we were talking about Blue Beauties and how I've been at that show. I had already had like 5 people ask me if I breed Blue Beauties.
Yeah,
and so
Blue
I told
Beauties
them,
are terrible.
the market
pets.
is heating up for them, but they're like they're not beginner snake pets.
I would definitely
and they're not like friendly.
Well, they're basically a racer with a rat snake head. So they want to run away all the time.
Right. And they're super sassy. And so people are seeing them on our channel and they want them. And I'm not saying that don't discourage. I'm not saying they shouldn't have them. I'm just saying they shouldn't be like your first pet snake when you're 8.
Maybe she should because she's an influencer that technically targets her content to children. Like this is not targeted to children. So we can say a bull snake's a good pet because we're targeting adults who are fully capable of understanding.
Well, she has like videos specific to that, like the
Right,
best
but I
beginner
think
pets,
I
the
was
best
saying was
intermediate
she
pets.
put like an infographic every time she talks about a species. Like this is medium difficulty, and so a little kid, and it's in orange, and green is like a corn snake, a leopard gecko. What else is actually easy? That's
Right,
about it.
right. No, that's a
And then
brilliant
orange
idea.
is like, hey, and so she doesn't have to say anything in the video, but every time that species is highlighted, it's like this is a difficulty, and so like if a 5 to 10 year old sees it, they don't just become like weirdly fixated on. I have no idea. Yeah, maybe we should get into
I
blue
mean, she's
beauties.
doing a wonderful thing. She
That's what
definitely
you're
needs to not
saying.
stop or anything. Keep doing what you're doing, Emily. I mean, like, she's a favorite here, and my kid completely idolizes her and wants to grow up to be like her, and I think that's fantastic. And she's doing like so much good, and like I said, so many kids are being exposed to reptiles, where in the past that wasn't as possible. Or you got that one time the reptile man came to your elementary school. So I mean, I think it's great, and she's getting people in the door at shows. So many people in the door at shows, which I'm really grateful for. I did sell a ball python to a little girl who was a huge Emily fan. It was really cute. So she's just keep doing what you're doing. But I think that if she had extra bandwidth, the coloring system would be just that much better to help kids understand.
Right, because like Clint, so not to rip off Clint, but like that system, just like a visual reminder that this isn't like whatever she has.
10-year-old's first pet
Yeah, she
snake.
has
Yeah.
Argentine boas and whatever. Like that's probably not. You shouldn't be like trying to get people really into Argentine boas when they're 5. I don't think. What do I know though?
Right.
Yeah, I don't know how much her personal responsibility begins or ends.
Oh, definitely not her personal responsibility, but it's something that I've noticed.
Have you ever noticed that when people come and ask you if you have something that you don't have, that like that process is very confusing to me. Like that they will walk around looking for something rare, asking everybody if they have it.
Or if they breed it so that they can take their card.
Right, but they usually like that's like still an impulse person. Don't you think? Like they knew they wanted a blue beauty, but they went to the show to look for one and then couldn't find one quickly, so asked literally every person if they had one or knew someone who had one. Doesn't that feel still sort of impulsive? Like if you wanted a snake, you would just go on Morph Market and you'd buy it.
Right, but I
Or
have the
track down the
luxury
collection.
of understanding how you network inside the reptile industry in order to acquire reptiles. The everyday person who's been exposed to Clint or who's been exposed to snake discovery, they don't have that knowledge. They haven't been on
But they kind of do, because
kinsnakes.com.
Clint and Emily do Morph Market
I
promotional
didn't figure
things.
out Morph Market because of them, and that's how I got introduced to the reptile hobby is through them. And they don't talk about it enough that you know to go and do that at all. So I stumbled upon
So
Morph
you're
Market on my
saying John Layman should sponsor Snake Discovery
yeah,
because she doesn't like
300%,
tie in Morph Market
absolutely.
naturally enough. All right, John.
If you're listening, does he listen?
I don't know. He is our personal hero though, as evidenced by
Yes.
like
Yeah.
episode 7 or whatever number it was. If
Yeah.
he is
So
listening, that would actually make a lot of sense because it would get people. It would
because a
force
lot of
the
these people,
issue.
I would say, you're probably gonna have to go on Morph Market to find that, and they would just look at me like I was speaking a foreign language, and I would have to go into an explanation of what is Morph Market.
Yes, there needs to be like a messaging correction because going and looking for a rare or unusual animal at a reptile show is usually a recipe for disappointment.
Well, and there
Because
was like almost no variety at this show.
was a less variety than the April show.
There wasn't. I don't think there was boas. I don't think there was hognose. I don't think there was. I didn't see very many colubrids. There was only two tables selling corns. Your babies at Holly's table and Cascade corns. And then there was like geckos and spiders and cresties. I think there was a lychee guy. And then everything else was ball pythons or merchandise. It was a really poor selection of the show.
Do you feel like maybe I should message Jeff? But Holly didn't do good. So like, do you feel
Jeff
like
was there, and he was bending. He
No,
that
I'm
he
talking
did
about
really
Jeff
bad.
Bong, Cascade Corns. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Like if
We met
Jeff,
him.
if there's only 2 corn people, you would think corns would do well because that would be the only other thing besides ball pythons. But Holly didn't do good. Maybe nobody really did that good.
No, I don't think people did good at the show.
Yeah.
In general.
Did you know anybody else who was a vendor that did good or bad? You can not be specific if you want to be.
Yeah, one of my vendor friends, he sold like 30 snakes again.
Is he
And made like
giving handy J's
5,000.
under the table?
I asked. He said he wasn't.
You already asked.
I
Or
did.
just
That
a
was
little
my first
side
question.
tug. Beep.
I was like, so what do I gotta give him extra to make those sales, James? And he's like, and I was like, a little favor under the table, and he was like, I gave no favors.
Is it just the amount of inventory that he brings, you think? Because he has a bigger...
He had like 65 snakes. I had 40.
Oh.
I had 3 full displays of snakes.
But he only brought 65. And you
only brought 60.
Only 40. And he sold 30 of 65.
And I sold 9.
What is going on here, Jana? I think he is sucking dick behind the building, even if it's not on the table.
Like, what are you doing over there? Because he sold 30 at the last show, too, the 2-day show.
I don't know. I don't have an explanation. You're gonna have to get like get a poker and put it in like the fire and like put it in front of his eye and threaten him a little bit.
He is a active U.S. military, so maybe
I actively suck the dick of U.S. military. It doesn't seem to make a difference for me.
Anyway, he's definitely not listening, but good job anyway.
Right. Congrats. Obviously, like, these kind of discussions are mostly pointless, right? Because every show is different. Every person walking up to every table is different.
Correct. And there's no way to predict how you're going to do.
Right. But fucking killing the chicken and pulling the entrails out and, like, trying to figure it out, it's part of the fun to me. I don't know.
For sure.
Hell yeah. Well, you did okay. And Holly did terrible.
Yeah.
But collectively... So your next show is when?
September 24th in Spokane. I'll have a information picture on my Instagram in the next week or so with details. So if you're in the area, we'll see you there. And we will be staying the night in Spokane.
Is that one even smaller?
Yes.
Right.
I think it'll be on par with the one yesterday.
Okay.
But that one was smaller than yesterday's one was smaller than the May one.
Okay. Is Holly not gonna go because she doesn't feel like it?
She's gonna go to the
Spokane give you her
one.
Tables. Okay. Good luck, everybody. Glad I'm not doing it. What happened this week since the last podcast, collection wise? I can't remember even what we talked about on your side.
I can't remember either. Nothing exciting.
Okay. No new clutches?
I don't know if did I talk about my G-stripe clutch? G-stripe clown clutch?
Yes.
Okay, well, that was the last exciting clutch. I have a clutch pipping, but it's pin DG to lesser, so nothing cool coming out of that.
Well, the clutches that I transported have begun to hatch and are not dead. That is my update.
Very exciting.
And those snakes were low 70s sometimes and jostled all around the whole world and moved, obviously, like carried but then like shook for 10 hours a day. They have shaken baby syndrome is what I'm saying.
I was just going to say, they were shaking. It's shake and bake, and I helped.
They're fine. No, like, umbilical kinky things. They all pipped on day 60 instead of day 55 or whatever, because they were just cooler for a little bit, and they're fine. So I don't think people should try to shake and bake their baby ball pythons, but if you have to, they seem fine. It's probably worse if you do that when they're very young, like embryonically. Like if you shake and bake a little blastula that's probably not that great. It might actually detach from the air pocket and then drown. But an older embryo so far seems...
So what's the corn clutch that's hatching right now?
I don't have a corn clutch hatching.
Oh, I thought you posted this week a little corn face coming out of an egg.
Nope.
Whoa.
Jana's been smoking the good stuff.
Oh, it was a ball python, not a corn. I'm sorry. See, I'm not totally insane.
I know, that's just like proof. I just said, like, the ball pythons came out and they were fine.
You said ball python, I heard corns.
No.
Continue. I think I've expired.
Jana's shutting down. Hopefully the audio quality this week is better. And if it's not, then I'm going to run away. Okay, I have a question. How many times should I feed the corn snakes that have already eaten 6 times this time before posting them for sale? What do you think?
Twice.
You think twice is proof that they are eating and
Reestablished.
What about ball pythons?
3.
Boas don't give a shit.
Boas once.
Yeah, I'm just like going through it and going through it like that.
I would say they'd have to eat twice in a row for me.
Some of them are like still unboiled or whatever, so they're not ready for nothing. Somebody wants a wholesale lot of boiled only eaters. Hit me.
Cool. Are you gonna do it?
Yeah. It's not even that hard. It's just like I can't sell them as boiled. So how many times do I have to feed them boiled before they decide to eat just regular frozen salt? Sometimes they do it right away. Sometimes they stay stuck on boiled.
What does boiling do?
It just changes the smell and the texture a little bit. I don't like actually boil them, but I'll just put scalding hot water on it and it'll sear like the outside of the pinky, drain it off and cool it down so the inside's still raw. But it smells different to me.
Interesting.
And so there are some corn snakes that will only eat boiled pinkies. And so you can like move them off of it, but like less and less boiling time. Like instead of like 10 seconds in the hot water, it's 5. And so that's what you do, but it takes time. It sucks. Boring. I'm like this close to needing to buy my own black box racks.
Oh, you're closer now. They're so good. I love them.
Yeah, I was thinking about getting...
I love them very hard.
Like 2 20 pocket ones.
Yeah.
And then ordering those stuff. I need, everything to go everywhere all at once. And
right.
I know at the very least since I'm not selling anything very quickly or at all, because I'm not selling anything, I have too many ball pythons for the amount of ball python slots that exist.
Do it. I cannot wait to have my building set up in the next 2 weeks because I need that. I have 4 black boxes, so they 2 stack on each other. I need the others 2 stack here pretty quick. Oops.
Did you buy the gray FB5s or the clear ones?
What about gray?
They are cheaper.
The clear ones, if I was going to do colubrids, or if I was going to do colubrids or ball pythons, I would probably get clear, but I mostly do ball pythons.
Like 100 clear already. So if I give the clear ones from the ball pythons to the boas or whatever,
right.
Like cheap out on the ball pythons ones.
Right, Jana
we're
needs
done.
a nap.
Jana's
Did we
dying.
do it? You guys are about to go from the chair to my bed.
Jana's gonna go aestivate.
Yes.
And I've been aestivating this entire time. Just remember, if someone uses a big word, it doesn't actually mean they know what they're talking about. Including me, by the way.
Definitely me.
Next week, I don't know what's happening. I don't really care. But Jana doesn't have a show, so she'll be more awake. And we might do a guest because we are backed up on, we're constipated with guests.
Yes, we are constipated with guests.
Yeah, just
so we should probably do that.
Probably need to take a magnesium oxide shot of guests.
Probably. There might be lots of guests coming up. If you're in the harem, go ahead and comment who you'd like to see on the show, or if there's episodes you'd like to hear us do, always feel free to comment those.
Right,
and,
Shane is
we'll
probably next. Let's just
week.
admit it out loud because he's a sponsor, and he wants to tell Jana everything about leopard geckos she doesn't want to know. Hard.
I'm down for that.
All right, bye everybody.
I scared to touch what?